Welcome back, everybody. Today we're testing the brand new Motiv Nuclear Forge. If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon. First impressions, we all really liked the revving heavy roll of the detonator core, and it looks really nice in this propulsion HPV pearl cover. Okay, let's get into it. Motiv continues the forge line with the nuclear forge, and I'm very glad it still has the detonator core. The original forge seemed to have that early revving nature that really gave the ball this driving, continuous, heavy rolling motion, and those shapes tend to work really well for me personally and benefits lower rev bowlers who can take advantage of the heavy rolling core. Adding the propulsion pearl cover will allow bowlers to take advantage of that motion while getting more length, which should offer a good amount of versatility. I will say that revving up nature, which smooths the shape but still good energy, is very attractive to the eye. I really do enjoy the lower RG cores, especially as a lefty. Now immediately I can see the ball's too strong for me to use in the friction. It's a little quick responding. The cover's a bit, I would say, too responsive, and the core is a bit too big. So I really had no look on this house, left of the third arrow. But once I got past the third arrow, the nuclear forge is a pocket magnet. So easy to get there. I will say the challenge I had at first was frequent 7-pins. I was a little confused at first, thinking, well, okay, it's too strong in that friction left, but then not strong enough once I got in the oil. However, as I continued to move further in, the ball looked better and retained more energy. So my first thought was that it was pushing too long. It turns out it was probably really bleeding a bit of energy, and sometimes it's really hard to distinguish. I still wonder, if it was a little bit of both at times. It was just so easy to get to the pocket, though. And I did apply light surface by hand. What I can say is this. In the track, I probably had like a 40% carry rate, which isn't great. But right of the track, or with a touch of surface, the carry went up to about 80%. So that's a huge difference. So clearly, a little surface helps blend it out. But I would say also finding more oil helped this ball. I do like this ball for the mid-define category, especially since I tend to lean towards the smoother side of defined in my bag. And I would say that's kind of a niche that Motiv fills well, especially with kind of a lower RG heavy rolling core. Now it's Tyler's turn to test the new Motiv Nuclear Forge, and as you can see, Tyler's slightly rev dominant style bowler, has a good amount of side rotation with low tilt, so he tends to see lots of side to side motion. The initial take is that he essentially saw the same type of motion I saw. It has a nice spool up from the lower RG, pushes a little later due to the cleaner nature of the cover and also the axis rotation, but still a controlled, really strong, bang or arc. Same situation ensued where in the track area it was a pocket magnet, but 50-50 with 10 pins. As he got steeper than the track, the nuclear forge would drive and drive hard. In fact, he left several 9 pins. But just as I did, Tyler really liked the motion. The spinning up and heavy roll of that core really gives confidence that the ball won't push past. It's not really the type of ball to generate over-under in a big sense. In other words, its window of over-under is much smaller. Over was a 9-pin, not a 4-9. Under was a 10-pin, not a bucket. The nuclear made it really easy to hold pocket. It really feels like the kind of ball that would be perfect type of shape for a mid-defined ball, especially on tougher conditions. Last but not least, we have Brian looking at the new nuclear forge, and Brian still has the original forge as his strong control ball, as the shape is just very predictable and offers good hit for his style game on tougher shots. He doesn't use it often, I would say, on house shots because it's just a bit too strong typically, with that cover and core combination. So he was looking forward to seeing a cleaner cover on the same detonator core, hoping for just that bit cleaner look, but still that same heavy arc. And it's certainly a bit cleaner, no question, than the original Forge. Does have the same type of arc. Theoretically, that little extra length, um, you might think, would make the ball pop down lane a bit more for Brian. But it seems in reality it simply provided, I would say, a bit of length with a very similar shape. You don't always get more back end because you've added length. So sometimes you simply get the same ball reaction, just happens a few feet later. And I think that's basically what kind of happens here for Brian. And I think there is a bit too much friction for the strength of this ball. So while Brian can't quite stay in the friction, again, same as us, can't really open up the lane as much because it doesn't get more angle. So there seemed to be a bit of a slim zone in terms of carry on this particular condition. Big picture, the Nuclear Force seems to fit in the mid-defined category. It doesn't turn as hard as the Sky Raptor, isn't as boomy rounded as the Mythic Jackal. It's somewhere in between, which might make it a Goldilocks for some and maybe meh for others. I truly feel that if you are on a little heavier condition than our house shot and it starts to break down, this will be a very good option. We really like the shape it created, and that tends to make a bowler comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you execute better.